Okay, it's 10 o'clock, we can call the meeting over, go on to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Well, since Kevin's here today, I'm sure under manager's comments, I'm gonna have a few questions for him.
Me too. If not, they can stand as presented. Review and approve minutes. Any questions on the minutes? If not, they can stand as presented. Thank you. Review and approve bills, accounts payable dated June 26th, regular 289,244.01, for a total of 289,244.01.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion?
No, I get a chance here to look them over a little
All
bit.
right.
So last month we had a huge discussion on grader bits, so we bought 20 more boxes.
Just because you questioned that.
We needed 40 boxes of grader bits. So clarification on those grader bits, how many grader bits goes on a blade?
32,
Okay,
36,
And
but that's
how many-
also truck bit, that's not just the graders.
for these bits that we're buying.
Them bits go on the trucks also,
You
so,
meant teeth on the blade.
Okay,
Yes, it's
so,
a teeth
so just for reference,
Information.
how many bits do we have on all of our trucks and all of our graders? Get your calculator
We
out.
just gotta know how many trucks.
Get your
See,
calculator
Kel?
out. How many trucks, how many blades, how many bits?
a lot.
I don't know.
That's what I,
Tell her whatever those boxes total up to.
how many ton inches are there? Like 4? All of them now are 3, I believe. Cause we used to have some that were 4, some that were 3, but since we've updated them, everything now I think is 3 sections.
And the wear and tear depends on
It
how,
depends on the time of year, how hard it is, what township, if there's a lot of stones.
And the used ones go in the scrap bin and we get paid for scrap.
Yes. Because they'll run them until the carbide is gone and they're just like a little button, and then they don't cut or do anything, so they knock them out, throw them in the scrap bin, put the new ones in, and go again.
Okay. So anyway, when I saw that, there was like, am I looking at the same accounts payable register? No, it's different date.
But even our spare trucks have teeth blades for them.
I asked questions when I first saw that too, like last year. I was like, what are they? Grader bits.
Those ones that they have? They're supposed to. They get plugged up with dirt, but for the most part, yeah, they're supposed to spin.
They do a better job of.
We started getting Corrigan bills, if you noticed that.
Yeah, that's one of, gonna be my question for the manager.
He's not here today.
But he's representing the
Yes, yes, he is.
Have you got a motion yet to?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
a motion.
Yeah, Gary's just
I'm
reviewing.
ready
We
anytime.
were all so busy, yeah, I think I supported you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion.
Give me Mike's name, I think probably have to sign in his.
Yeah.
You wanna make it out there?
Yeah.
Don't mind. All right, we'll grab that payroll one too.
Yeah, I will. Get this moving, I'll get the other one out. I can put mine in.
Payroll dated June 18th for $123,936.
I move that we pay the payroll dated June 18th for $123,936.
Support.
Any questions?
My only statement would be, gee, there's not much overtime on the back of this. I would think, like the kind of weather we've had this last week with lots of sunshine, that we'd wanna be getting in some overtime.
You might want to hear overtime.
You wouldn't believe the overtime from, yesterday and the night before from trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, we had trees falling, as nice as it was,
All through the day.
from the storm the night before,
Really?
yes.
So where
The great
was,
owl was out pretty much all day
where was
chasing trees.
where was the storm tracked?
Through Litchfield, Moserville area.
Because we had
We didn't get
nothing.
nothing around here, it
Yeah.
was all up, went right up through
Northern
Allen, Litchfield, and Moserville area.
And we lost power in North Adams the day before from a tree falling.
We were in
line.
Jackson at that time, it looked bad out there.
But yeah, great owl was out all day yesterday chasing trees.
Andy Weldon said he got an inch of rain in 5 minutes.
So about what time did that storm hit? Mid-afternoon?
Between 4 and 4:30.
5:36.
Yeah, I was finishing
Or was
baling
it
some
that?
hay.
Between 4 and 4:30. The reason I know that is I was on my way to Jackson, and they issued the storm alert, and I left from Hillsdale, right from about here, and it was black. And it's like, and again, I knew where the track was, like, well, am I gonna get up past Litchfield before the brunt of it? So it's between 4 and 4:30.
I was on.
Now, I wasn't actually there when it hit, so maybe it was a little later, but that
Like I
was.
said, I didn't get nothing at my house. I just know when the 911 alerts started coming in for trees.
Been moved and seconded to pay the payroll, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thanks.
Well, you signed that one, yeah.
Treasurer's report.
Beginning cash and investment balance is $2,889,714.25. Total receipts is $59,654.84. Total in bills and payroll is $413,180.01. Bonds and escrow is $10,250. CD reserved for 2 trucks is $682,515.86. Ending available fund balance is $1,843,423.22. Outstanding accounts payable is a negative $1,703.12.
Any questions? If not, stand as presented, thank you. $10.15 bill. Do you want to give a little bit of an update?
No, you have to do public comment first.
Oh, shoot, I missed it, yes.
Alright.
Public comment. Nobody from public?
I'm not here for a bid opening. I'm hoping to have a few minutes of your time just to discuss an issue that I have.
No, that's a public comment.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
that's
so, okay. Well, so my name's Bruce McRitchie, and I own a parcel of land, on Bear Lake, right? And, last year, someone dammed up a culvert that runs right along the border of my property. There's a channel that runs from Lake Wilson to Bear Lake. And there's been a failure of a dam at the south end of Bear Lake. right? So the water level dropped. Lake Wilson's water level dropped. Because of that, they dammed up the culvert going underneath Bear Lake Road, and it reduced the Bear Lake water level even more. And it caused me some real problems. And so I reached out to DNR, and then I reached out to you folks. I don't remember who I spoke with. I reached out to the Drain Commission, and everybody points at you all to be the ones that are responsible for maintaining the flow in those culverts. So that's where I
You know
am.
anything about that, Kevin?
We got a service request about it being blocked up. We went out there and it wasn't blocked when we were out there. Cause it said it was blocked up with some tin or something.
They use tin, they use plywood, they use lumber, they put metal rods down in the water to keep the obstruction in place. There's still lumber sitting out right in front of the culvert. I've got pictures. Somebody bolted steel plates to the culvert so that it would be easier to put obstructions down into the water. And, you know, nobody's willing to really take a look at this. And I mean, I've got a law here that says there's a penalty of $1,000 and up to a year in prison for doing that. So I'm asking for your all support. I mean, the Drain Commission said it's the County Road Commission's responsibility to keep those culverts.
Can we go out and look at that, Kevin?
I will,
And
I'll
anything
take a
that's
look
there,
at it.
we remove.
And I'm more than happy
It was
to
looked up,
monitor
but
it, but I'd
I
like to
looked
know
report and there was
somebody
nothing there.
that I
I
can
will
contact
check
here
myself
that'll
and
actually go out and take a look and remove any debris or anything that's there.
And you know what road it's on, I mean, cause.
Yeah, it's on Bear Lake Road, right between the two lakes.
Okay.
Cause we've had trouble with beaver there before.
Yeah, at the
And-
end of the channel, right at the Bear Lake end is where I saw a dam. But there may be other dams. I mean,
What's the reason for them doing that?
because it maintains Lake Wilson water level at the expense
Oh,
of Bear Lake
okay.
water level.
Okay.
I see what you're.
Yeah. And so just to go a little further here. So the Bear Lake, for some reason, is considered a special assessment district, right? So they are the ones that are responsible for a dam at the south end of the lake, which benefits multiple lakes, by the way. Lake Wilson, Pike Lake, Bear Lake, and a number of lakes upstream, right? And they aren't included in this assessment, so it falls on all of the property owners on Bear Lake to rebuild this dam that failed to the tune of $113,000.
Whoa.
And, you know, okay, I'll pay the bill, but I don't want them to benefit further by damming up those culverts. I mean, you know, and I've been really frustrated with the way that's gone.
Can I get a phone number? Sure. So if I'm clear with what you're.
Well, and if you've got a cell number, I can text you pictures that I took yesterday.
No.
Yeah, I will go check this myself.
So, Bruce, I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
So do you live at the lake?
I'm not there year round.
Okay,
It's a summer cottage.
okay. So are you John's son or Bill's
Yes, sir.
son?
John's.
John's son.
Yes, sir.
Now, some of you may be too young to remember
Hmm.
John and Bill McRitchie. But Bill McRitchie was a longtime probate judge. John McRitchie was a longtime realtor, served on the DSS board in Hillsdale County for many years. I worked with both your father and your uncle. Great people.
Well, and I wouldn't waste your time if I didn't feel it was important.
We'll make sure that gets taken care of.
I said, I'll go up here and check it myself.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you for letting us know.
I'll get out of your hair.
And
Thanks.
if you notice
Thanks
it's
for your time.
black,
Sorry?
if it continues getting black, just call the office.
Unfortunately, so I live in South Carolina now, and I come up here for a couple of months every year. and my brother comes up, but we share the property together. We bought it from our family. So it's hard for us to keep a
Yeah.
daily watch on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully, once they get this dam repaired at the other end of our lake, that won't be an issue going forward, because they can maintain the water level. But because of that failure, everybody was impacted, and somebody is damming it up, and I gotta believe it's somebody that lives on Lake Wilson.
I would agree.
And I just want that to stop.
Okay.
So, anyway, thanks again.
Thank you. Okay. Dumpster open.
I'm assuming Stevens Disposal and Recycling Services would be the only bid we have. Should we check with Karen to make sure
She brought
nobody,
those in.
nobody dropped any off up to this
I can
point?
go ask.
Just to be sure.
And this is a bid for a specific roll-off container for a specific job? Is that what this is all about?
No,
There's one
it
for,
should be the one that's out there, right? That they put
I
the
would
state
assume.
trash in and,
Exactly.
Roadside cleanup and
yes,
county garage,
that's the
empty
dumpster
weekly.
that sets out by the salt shed.
There's no other bids.
Okay.
with the state pays for that.
Who we got now?
We do have more bids.
What?
We
We
don't-
have LRS.
Yeah, we don't have Steve.
No. LRS didn't submit a bid.
I'll be done.
The only bid
That's them.
that we have is from Stevens Disposal. And it looks like to furnish one 8 cubic yard dumpster for county garage to be emptied weekly, $253 per month.
That's the little dumpster out back then.
Yeah, that's all that's all on
No
this
one
sheet.
yard?
That's
Or
all
no
on this
20 yard?
8 cubic yard dumpster for county garage to be emptied weekly. Looks like it's for 24 months, $253 per month, for a total cost of $6,072. One-time delivery fee of $125. And the cost of an extra dump on the 8 cubic yard is $100.
They don't have a bid for,
Then we have a sheet for, it looks like, one 20 cubic yard roll-off dumpster for roadside cleanup. Delivery fee is $100. Monthly maintenance fee is $95 per month. Trucking is $230 per haul. Dumping cost is $55 per ton, 2-ton minimum. It's for, it says 14 pulls and 64 tons. That's all they have on here.
That's the only quote we have.
Yep.
What are we currently paying?
So right now through our LRS, we are currently paying $220 a month, but that's with us arguing almost every single month because they've been trying to raise our rates even though we have a quote, a bid.
Right.
But that's with us, yeah.
So that's on the 8. That's for the.
That's for the 8
8,
cubic
so,
yard.
yeah.
This 20, the roll-off one is usually, I gotta look at the bill for that one, by the price, but usually that's, Joe calls when that gets full to get, usually it's state, to charge it. Stuff they pull off the state highways.
used to be modern.
I don't know.
For that one.
But this,
No.
this 20, or the 20 yard one is a 2-year contract, starts September 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2027.
That's when our LRS.
That one?
ends.
kind of late.
So that's it for that.
You know what the 20 yard cost is?
I can go grab a bill real quick, I don't know off the top of my
Right.
head,
Let's
or I
do-
can, well, no, I can go grab a bill.
We've only got one bid.
Yeah.
raising every month, they want to try and raise it, the one we got. So then they have to call them, say, no, this is our contract, and they've done it every month so far.
Yeah, I don't know if they would come this far or not, but a lot of people in our corner of the county use ARS out of Archibald, Ohio,
That's what I got.
and the service is great.
It was a voicemail.
Hmm?
It was a voicemail
Oh.
from the car company.
Oh,
And then we were picking it up.
okay.
Is this Stevens kind of a new company?
I've never heard of it.
I have, we've got one down at, I call it Hugo Building, one of the buildings down there, the people that are renting it, they've got one in Stevens. But I see them around a lot, Doug.
The county has recently signed contract with Stevens. They're on the line with the county.
Petersburg, Michigan is where they're out of.
That's a ways away.
It's almost to Monroe.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
In Monroe County, actually, Petersburg is in Monroe County, western.
So I misspoke.
They're new outreach.
So for the roll-off dumpster is 220, that's the 220 per call for the roll-off. And this is the one, okay, so this is a lot more expensive, but, we pay $85 a month, not the 220, I mixed up the dumpsters. This one's 253, but this is a monthly, they've been wanting to charge us a lot more a month, but it's a monthly battle we deal with.
which one are you saying is $85?
The one that's 253 per month.
The eight CYD is $85 a month. The 20-yard roll-off, or the 20 CYD cubic yard roll-off is $220 per call. But there's no monthly fee if we don't call. Because these guys are gonna charge us $95 a month. $95 a month rent is what they're gonna charge us. And then when we call them, it's gonna be $230 to haul it, plus another $55 per ton, or per 2 tons or something, or per ton. And I don't know how many tons
They don't
are
charge
in
a
there.
ton?
Well, that's the 220 ends up going, I might just have to grab their quote, because they just have a,
They gotta have a dumping fee.
I have to just grab their quote. It just says scheduled on call $220. I don't have on this one, so I would have to grab the bid itself.
Is that available? Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Do we have
Something don't
to
sound the same.
take the bid this meeting, or can we table it and see if we can get somebody else?
Well, I think we have to see when that expires, that contract.
Yeah.
What do we have now?
LRS.
And they submitted it.
The only one that submitted a bid was the Stevens disposal
Right.
recycling.
That's amazing.
To me, if it's legal, to me, it's worth making the phone call to
Yeah.
Republic and LRS and
Did we,
seeing if they're, what their rates would be.
I wonder if we sent bids to them, or we just put them on a list.
I believe Karen called them, each, LRS and Republic.
For bids.
Cherokee
Didn't you call them?
wouldn't have bid,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
cause that's who I've got down to Cody's garage is Republic.
And what do you mean she called them? Called them to see if they were gonna bid? Called them, sent them a packet? What?
Called them to see who to send the packet to.
Yeah, that's why I have the girls calling before we do quotes to verify if they need it emailed or we have the correct address.
It was sent to ARS, Republic Waste Service, Modern Waste, and Stevens Disposal. So it was sent to 4 different companies.
Republic Waste who does Gelders, they never have a problem.
And
Okay,
it
so
is.
who, I'm so confused, cause Modern is not.
It's
who-
LRS.
Martin is LRS. Okay, that's what,
So
Now we have
last
four.
year, LRS did send us one, not last year, last time it bid out for 8 cubic yard, it was $500 a unit price. So we've been dealing, that's what they quoted, and that's what got approved last time, but we've been having such problems, then they finally agreed just to do 85 a month versus this 500 a month. I know, we did a lot. So like, yay, we got it $85 instead of 500. Cause we've been battling with them. But, so their bid last time they did it was 500 a month, LRS. And then it was for their, it's $220 per haul plus $49 per ton.
Okay,
That makes, yes.
and they're $230 and $55.
So they were I'm guessing their per haul could be, I would have to verify, cause they didn't specify a monthly charge, so I don't know if that's the 220. And I believe I'd have to verify with Janet, cause she's talks to them a lot. And I think we get charged at 220 every month. And then, that's the state's portion. No, but it says 220 per haul plus 49 per ton. So,
so maybe there's no monthly fee.
yeah, but I know we have calling on them right now, asking, we have questions regarding our last bill, I will say. But that's them constantly changing the prices and,
So if they,
even though we have a contract.
silly me, if the bid was $500 a month, how did we have a negotiation stand?
It wasn't negotiable, so that all went back, they tried to up it again, and then who we spoke to, they're like, well, this doesn't make sense, why did they quote you 500? I'm like, I don't know, that's what the quote said. So then they were like, well, I'll look into this, see what's more reasonable. And then, so I wasn't gonna say, well, no, we wanna continue paying the $500 a month,
Right.
we'll take the 85, so I took the 85.
But they didn't bid this time.
They didn't bid this time. But I think it's because
Cause you're
they
mean.
get stuck in a
They don't
contract.
wanna
We
deal
have
with
the
her.
same issue with Park right now too. It's a monthly battle every single month. They raise it by $30. Then it's right. Well, then all of a sudden it's less. Then all of a sudden it's this. And like, so we're constantly.
And that's with Republic.
If we have a contract
Oh,
with
no,
them,
but that one's with, that
How
one's
can they raise
never
it?
mind.
But no, but I mean.
That's
we're
what it
still
is.
arguing.
That's why we gotta argue and be like, well, no, on your contract, it says firm for the 2 years.
right,
And it's every single month we have to deal with this. But that's through Republic. That's,
When does
No,
the
right.
current
The same.
contract expire? What's
The
that?
end of August.
end of August, so that's why the start date is September 1st. So, it's, LRS is fun.
Did we send one to ARS?
Yes, we did.
Yes, but they do not service this area.
Anymore.
Really?
I did call around, I know next time it goes out for bid, I spoke to that but Sterling Disposal. They would like to get, be in the next bid process. They just don't have the equipment now for dumpsters. I called them, yeah.
Kinda makes you wonder why nobody's bidding.
yeah.
I don't know.
Cause they know we'll call everyone.
They either don't have the help to do it, or they're just so busy that they can't.
So they're charging $95 a month to just have the dumpster, basically.
I don't,
Any suggestions?
The 20-yard roll-off, does the state pay for that one?
the 20, it gets
100% of it gets billed to them, is that right?
Yep, I will verify. I did take care of it already.
I think
Yes,
that's all.
it gets split out between all the highways and it gets billed to the state.
But it does get billed 100% to the state.
Our roadside
One- okay.
cleanup goes in the too, on it.
Yeah.
Some of it is ours, like this time it was 110 that was
Okay,
billed to
alright.
the county and then the rest of the state.
So it depends on what,
Depends on,
the
so,
debris, where it comes from.
yes, so if we
Okay.
have adopt a highway, a lot more goes to the
Right.
state versus the
Right.
county.
Right. Is it legal to, not make a decision on this until the next meeting and make some phone calls and find out why bids weren't submitted? Rebid it?
That's your guys', I don't know. That's your guys' call. I don't know.
Well, I know it's our call, is it legal?
I don't know. I'd have to have time to look into that.
Well, you know, I don't know how the bid specs read. But when I went out for a public bid as county treasurer for various things that we did, I put right in the bid spec and get the right to reject any and all bids.
I would assume ours says the same thing. That's usually the
I'm reading
case.
it right now.
And we still have 60 days before the contract expires.
And you know what, to me, the contract matters.
That's probably true.
Well,
Mark, don't you wanna start a business?
Nope. Not-
This one doesn't say anything like that, it just says, if cost effective, preference will be given to using a single provider for both services. It does say these quotes will be reviewed and submitted to the Michigan DOT for final approval.
You know, cause the state, cause
Right.
it deals with the state, they have to have the final approval.
Right.
But it doesn't,
I believe we can table it.
I would say you can table it.
Have staff make some work. So, not wanting to increase your workload or anything like that.
Make some phone calls, but my concern is the whole thing would have to be rebid, because this one's been open.
And we're gonna have to re-advertise, redo everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, and thinking on that, I think $85 a month for a weekly pickup, I think was cheap.
Oh,
I
it's
think
way
it was
cheap.
underpriced.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So the question is $253 a month reasonable? And is the charge for the 20-yard roll-off reasonable?
Cause I feel like I would have to look at the previous trash bid that we had, that expired in 2023. I think just the pickup was $200 some, and then when we got it in 2023, it was like, wow, they doubled their prices.
Yeah.
Why did they double their
Right.
prices?
Right.
So if you compare it to what it was in 2022-ish, that
Yeah.
time is comparable.
Well, we could refer it off to the state, they can reject it.
We can, but you guys gotta approve it before we send it to the state. If that's the route you wanna go.
And how much money do we spend advertising if we rebid it?
I'd have to listen. Every time it's different, because sometimes because it's not illegal, I would have to go ask. I don't know if it's 100, or like between 78, 140, Parks was 165, I would have to look. How am I gonna
Sounds like
tell
it's
people?
rather minimal.
It's like 100, anywhere between 100 and $160.
I think we ought to rebid it and see if we can't.
yeah, I agree.
Get
Because
some
we
other,
did call each and every one of these individuals to get where to send it. They knew they were coming. But people decide not, I can call and find out why, but
Right.
they decide not to bid. They don't want, I don't know.
why don't we table it and just call and see why they didn't bid?
I'll see if I
And then
can.
go from there.
Then
Right,
go from there.
right.
If we can't get them to bid, then we have to accept it.
I moved to table the bids on the solid waste dumpster.
Support.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right. We're running a little behind on pavement marking, open bid.
We have one.
Well, that's easy.
That's
easy.
That's going right along par for everything else.
It's the one we had last year too. It's Michigan pavement markings.
I just have it on the sheet.
At the
Right
top.
there, Michigan pavement markings right over here. Right there.
Oh, okay. I'll come over here.
How's your thing? Alright, so for no pass zone yellow, it is 0.055 cents per lineal foot. So it's a total of $99,162.25. The skip line yellow is 6 cents per lineal feet, $11,790.30. The edge line white is 0.055 cents per lineal foot for a total of $107,331.62. The railroad crossings are $100 each for $2,700. The school zones are $75 each for a total of $2,175. The stop bars are $2 per lineal foot for a total of $3,234. The rumble strips, new, are $8 per lineal foot for a total of $4,128. The rumble strip repairs are $5 per lineal foot for a total of $25,475. The grand total is $255,996.17. The proposed starting dates as soon as requested, and the proposed completion date is 10 to 14 days after start.
That's right close to what we normally spend, $250.
Yep.
What's the difference, what do they mean by rumble strips new versus rumble strips repair?
The repair is gonna be basically where they just freshen them up. They paint white on them and put the glass beads on them. The new is they actually put like a thermoplastic, they put the bump in. It's where there are none now, and they're going to be placing new ones. They've never been there.
Rumble strips.
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking the
The
guy,
group.
yeah,
Gotcha.
that's not what we're talking
No,
about.
these are the little
Rumble
ones like right
strips, yes,
before a
okay,
stop sign.
Perfect. Yep, I'm glad I asked the question, it got my brain in the right pew.
Yep.
I move we award the bid to Michigan Pavement Markings.
I'll support the motion.
Were we happy with the work done by them?
Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Why can't anything be that easy?
Do they service dumpsters?
Yeah.
We'll have to ask them that.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody wanted to do it.
Is
There's not enough in town.
our guy's not here, is he?
I don't see him. I emailed yesterday the office, Curran told me that you were still on his calendar, and
I thought you said he was gonna be here in person.
That's
he is.
Doug, I think.
I was looking at the
Oh,
camera to
yeah.
see if anybody was walking in.
Oh, I thought you were looking to see if he was zooming.
No,
Oh, that's right, we don't zoom here.
we just trying to.
Oh,
We did that one year.
COVID.
We did, yeah, cause we didn't wanna wait too much.
Well, as I said, when you were glancing there, I thought it was a Zoom thing. I said, well, that's what's
Oh.
wrong.
Had enough Zooms.
He was told 10:45.
While we're waiting, can you start on yours?
Sure. We began paving the paper patches. So far, we've got Beecher Road done for Jefferson Township. Today, they're working on Mosierville Road. I believe that was in Scipio Township. The scraping for the brine, we're currently in Pittsford Township scraping. I don't know if they'll finish Pittsford today or not. Once Pittsford's done, the only thing left to scrape for brine is Wright Township, and everything will have been scraped. My plan is to, by next week, be done scraping everything, and just a matter of them getting it sprayed.
We'll make the 4th of July.
Scraping, we will make the 4th of
Might
July.
be a little
Where
late
is
on
the
the brine.
That's my next. They're gonna complete Adams Township today,
Oh, boy.
and then start Moscow Township tomorrow.
Okay.
And once they get Moscow done, that'll just leave them 4 townships down the east side of the county to do, which would be Somerset, Wheatland, Pittsford, and Wright.
Moscow's gonna get some brine?
Yes, Stone Co. come through to pay for their
So
part
the
of the
whole
brine.
township is
and
gonna be done.
Yes, the whole township will be done.
Wow,
Wow, that'd be nice.
they didn't have to do that either.
Right,
No.
Stone Co. agreed to pay
Moscow's
Moscow's
portion.
portion.
And that's what, about $12,000? Or is it?
I would have to have it.
14.5, I
Okay,
believe,
about 14.5.
or 14.8, 14.5 or 14.8.
Nice, nice.
So that's where they're at. I've been in contact with him,
Here's our
Bob's
guy.
been in contact with him, because he's not keeping up like they promised they would.
We're gonna have to have another
And-
discussion.
Like I said,
They
Bob
never
and I have both been in contact with them. They have added more trucks, but they've got a couple other townships finished, so they brought more trucks in. But they said from the get-go that they could keep up.
I remember
They were told that we could scrape a township a day,
they stayed with
and
us.
we've stayed 2 to 3 at least ahead of them from the get-go.
Are they working Fridays and Saturdays? and
They're doing
Sundays?
Fridays, I don't know about Saturdays. But the biggest thing was they were only sending 1 or 2 trucks down here.
I think I seen them last Saturday.
Did you? See, I don't know, 'cause,
Yeah, I seen
and that's the other thing is I have asked for dates of when he starts and when he finishes a township.
them.
And the only way I get them is if I send him a text and say, where are you? I need the dates.
I think that this winter we need to have a discussion with them.
A big one, because
Yeah.
we've had the discussion the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's the same old, same old.
So when do they expect to have the last 4 townships done? Sounds to me like
They
should.
keep saying that they're hoping to be done by the 4th, but there's no way that they're gonna get 5 townships done
The
in
4th
5
is
days.
Yeah, the 4th is a week from tomorrow.
I say they've got 5 days of work days to get done by the 4th, and I don't see that
They
happening.
can't do a township a day?
They haven't yet.
So Moscow, you said it's gonna be done this week, so, or
Tomorrow,
Adams.
tomorrow they're starting Moscow, finishing Adams today.
Okay, so then next week, they have 4 days to finish 4 townships.
They won't.
Well, they won't get,
Moscow.
They won't have Moscow done this week. Moscow will take them, I'm saying probably 2 to 3 days.
And they got a lot of gravel roads.
Got a lot of gravel roads. And he sent me a text today and said that 4 of his trucks broke down Tuesday, and he's using little trucks filling in until he gets them trucks fixed.
Sounds to me like they need to get new equipment.
So, yeah, I don't know, that's just what I'm receiving.
Kevin,
Do you wanna
we'll take-
stop and?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're up.
I'm up. Alright, well, thank you. I think y'all know me, Nate Waldenman with Raymond. Just for the financial statements,
Oh, you go.
I didn't get one.
Okay, you were here for me to give them to you.
so, we issued the report on June 10th. If you're, when you look through the financial statements, we did issue an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, which is what you're looking for when you get an audit. Means the financial statements were fairly stated in all material respects. Always like to point out the fact it's not absolute assurance. We're not giving you on every penny. We're not testing everything, but we give you that reasonable assurance that you can rely on the financial statements. Just kind of as a high level, what changed this year, there was one new accounting standard that had to be implemented related to compensated absences. But luckily it had pretty much no effect on the road commission, just the way the change basically was the old rule was basically that you only accrued what would be paid out if somebody retired or left the road commission. Now the new rule is it's is gonna get paid out or could be used for time off. So there's some places that had a big impact on because they didn't have they had caps or where they wouldn't pay out or they wouldn't where that ability to have to accrue that if it was used had a bigger impact. So luckily very little impact, but we did have to implement that and then kind of go over your policies, that stuff, to make sure that it was in compliance with the new standard. So luckily, fairly simple impact on the financial statements, and we really, in the separate letter that we have, we outline the new accounting standards that are coming out. There's 3 standards that have come out that you haven't had to implement yet, but there's really nothing that's going to have a big impact on your numbers. There is a change that will come in 2 years that'll change a little bit how your budget to actual statements look. It will move the budget to actual after the footnotes, and in that there will be more required explanations for changes, those types of things in the budget. So it's not a huge change, but that and MD&A are one of the biggest changes for those governments that only have governmental activities, the governmental funds. So it could have been a lot worse. They were talking about much bigger changes when they first put out those standards or the exposure drafts for those standards. So actual financial results, I guess what's your pleasure? Do you want me to walk through page by page? I know I've done that in the past. Sometimes it's kind of the same old thing. So if you don't need that, I can report that everything was clean. We didn't have any findings. We didn't have any comments. So again, very clean audit. I think what you would hope for, but happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
I have a question on the pension, and I'm not so sure if this is the audit or just we need more information on the pension. But my memory, if memory serves me right, when we decided to make the pension available to those who were coming from other places that were in MERS, they could enter immediately. And,
The MERS to MERS?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I thought, I was told we only contribute about 2% of wages, but in here, it tells me we're contributing 30% of our payroll. If I'm looking on page 36.
Or are you talking about the Act 88? MERS to MERS is totally different than the Act 88. The Act 88.
Well, anyways, the conversation happened when we were gonna allow an employee immediate vesting and entry into the pension plan. And so the question is, how much do we pay? And I was told it was like 2%, I mean, something ungodly small. But we're paying 30% of payroll to cover our contributions, which is what page 36 says. Am I wrong?
Well, what the road commission pays per payroll, I think it's like 37% each payroll. But when we had that discussion, it was regarding Act 88, and we were talking about Bob, that part, totally different than MERS to MERS. Totally.
Why is that different?
Because MERS to MERS, you can start right away. Bob didn't have MERS to MERS. He had a pension plan through somewhere else, from a different pension plan.
I understand that, and I understand that by adopting that act, he got immediate access to MERS.
You have to be employed for 3 years to get that. It's not immediate access. He doesn't qualify right away.
But he'll be here 3 years.
Yeah, and then with that, I think when I pulled up the information, how it was presented to me and how Bob presented it, I think you each didn't understand what you each were asking. Because, yeah, so I can get more information and explain it to you. And with Bob.
Okay, because.
That's totally
right.
different.
Any other questions for him?
So, okay, looking at page 16. Statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So fund balance decreased by slightly over $1 million. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so of that fund balance at the end of the year, how much of that was in cash and investments? How much of it was in other assets or receivables?
I mean, that would be on page 12. There was about 2 million in cash, and then you can see the breakdown of receivables and inventories, where your total assets were about 5.3 million, between 5.3 and 5.4.
Okay. So that road materials number, would that be a combination of salt that we had in inventory plus gravel in inventory?
Yeah.
Yes.
Primarily it would be those two big items.
Those
right?
are, yeah.
about what percent, funded are we with a pension program?
If you go to page 34, you can see that you're at about 70% funded. That's kind of towards the bottom of it, where the percentage is shown.
Yeah. So just is it Nate, right?
Yeah.
Just a question, Nate, I find it kind of interesting here, you know, there's like a 10-year history in the pension program. Is that required?
Yeah, the standards require that you actually show 10 years. Once it became, I mean, you're just past that time frame where you've got to have 10 years because of the standard, when the standard was implemented for GASB 68. But now, yeah, you have the full 10 years that will be reported. 1 year drops off every year.
If I'm looking at page 27, when I look at the actuarial assumptions, inflation rate is at 2.5%, and salary increases are at 3%. That looks a little low due to our current situation. Is that gonna be a negative impact in the future?
So those assumptions are really, you have no control over the assumptions
Yes.
that get used
Yes.
because there's MERS assumptions.
Yes.
So there's a little bit, it's that weird part in the standard where we as auditors have to look at that and have to be able to have a comfort level with it. But at the same point, you have no control over it. Technically, we could go and say, if it's too high, we could go and say, we're not gonna accept it and qualify our opinion.
Right.
But in general, those rates for the plan as a whole, for MERS, you know, we've kind of looked at it and said, they're within the ranges, you know, that they are, they definitely have come down from where they used to be, in terms of where the rates were, and some of it, like inflation, that's a long-term look, and you can't just look at that, what's happened in recent years. You have to look at it over how that would impact over the life of the plan going forward. So we've gotten enough comfort level that we think they're reasonable, continue to be reasonable estimates. So.
It wasn't long ago, was it, that like the investment return number used was like 8 or 8.5?
Yeah, it used to be quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
It's been coming down. They also have this this thing that they have now where when there's a certain gain, or when they look at gains overall, it brings the assumption down. I forget exactly what there's some wording in here about it. I mean, that's why your investment rate of return is down to 6.93, because they have that that gain assumption where if you have a certain amount of gains, they're gonna bring down that thing to kind of control it. You're not supposed to do that when you're estimating exactly, but what they're doing is trying to say, well, if we have that excess gains, we're gonna kind of bring down that, and to some extent, they're trying to line up and control so that your rates aren't going super crazy, because if they were super conservative and brought the investment rate of return down to, you know, 6%, then all of a sudden your rates